Welcome to another episode of the Advice First podcast. This is your host, Robert Clark. Today I am joined by Mr. Rudy Herrera with College Assurity. Welcome to the Advice First podcast. Rudy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you, Robert?
I am doing fantastic, and I am ecstatic to have you in studio. We are going to talk about a very pressing issue, especially in today's world. We all know the costs of higher education are higher than we would all like. And I believe what you do as a specialty is you help kids, parents, families plan for that expense. Am I right?
Yes, that's what I do. I've been doing it for quite a while now. I started in my business. So let me just tell you a little bit about how I got to College Assurity and opened up the company. I graduated from Cal State Northridge with a finance degree. Never listened to any of the counselors of what I should actually be doing. They said that I should be a counselor or a teacher. And back at that time in 1988, 89, I was watching Wall Street. And that's all I wanted to do was just make money. I felt that that was going to make me happy. And yeah, I made a lot of money, but I was never happy. So over the years of being at Shearson Lehman, where I started, and then I actually transitioned into mortgage banking, and I still wasn't happy. But during that time, I was coaching. I have 4 kids. They were all athletes. One of my daughter, my only daughter, she ended up going to Utah Valley, got a partial scholarship, about 50%. And so I was always coaching. And then I had 3 boys that played travel ball, basketball. They played football. And I was always coaching them as well. I actually, during their time of playing basketball, I decided not to coach them anymore. I learned some lessons from my daughter and coaching them. And actually, during that time, we organized a softball organization that actually helped 200 girls get into anywhere from NIA and Division I scholarships, girls going to Alabama, West Point. So that was really fulfilling. So once I was done there, that organization continued to grow and continue to move on. And I started coaching my kids, the boys. But then I decided, you know what, this is stupid. I learned my lesson from my daughter. And so I pulled away, joined an organization that allowed me to coach other kids, and I allowed the other coaches to coach my boys. And that just worked out very well. So I got my satisfaction. And then I got a call from a friend of mine. And during that time, by the way, somebody in New York was calling me for 5 years. We understand you're a great coach. You'd be a perfect fit to do college planning. Just put it aside. Didn't understand it really. Then I met up with a friend who said, this is what I do. And I decided to join him. And I said, wow, you mean I can actually get paid, teach kids, educate them, teach families how not to go broke and jeopardize their assets? So I went all in. And that's how that happened. And I started College Assurity.
Wow, that's incredible. So, I mean, you must have had how many full-time jobs coaching just your kids?
Oh my God, it is a full-time job. It's, I go all in. So when I do something that I have a passion for, I go all in. And kids have always been a passion. And like I said earlier, I should have listened to my college counselor. They knew there's these assessments that you take. People disregard those assessments all the time. They do. But what I do know now, looking back on hindsight, that they're pretty accurate. And, the message, if I can give anybody, whoever's listening, is that you can always change. It took me, let me see, I'm 54 years old now. I'm going to be 54. It took me about 25 years before I made that change and actually found what I was passionate about.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
Absolutely, to say the least. I mean, that's phenomenal. I'm sure your experience being so involved in a lot of your children's athletics has really helped you to what you do today. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, do you work a majority with athletic students?
I would say we have 2 counselors that work for College Assurity. We have financial planners. That's my team. But let me answer that question. I would say 30% of the students are athletes. Wow. And I'm glad that you brought that up because living here in Santa Clarita Valley, it's a hotbed for athletics. And every parent thinks that their kid's going to go Division I and get a full ride scholarship.
Yep.
And that's not going to happen. Right. Okay. Baseball and softball, if they understand the dynamics, there's only 12 scholarships and there's 35 players on a baseball team, 21 players on average on a softball team. Yep. So I saw a need there where I can help them and bridge the gap between whatever they're receiving and whatever they're not receiving. And what is that net investment that they're going to make? So I like to tell the parents or the student athlete that we're not looking for a backup plan, because I think that word backup plan is really failure, right? Like I failed. I like to use the word options. Options, I think, is a better word, because when you can give anybody options, they're always going to make the right choice. If you instill that seed that we're going to have a backup plan in their mind, they're always thinking that I can't fail here. So you're putting actually more pressure on the student athlete.
Wow.
So, and these days, parents, they don't get it. I mean, they think that they're going to go, like I said, Division I, they're going to get a full ride. They got to get good grades. Yeah. It's so important, especially today, now that COVID's happening. Some of these universities are talking about they're going to be going broke. Who really knows? Right. But it's really impacted the system.
So what can parents do to kind of shift that preparation or that mindset?
Well, what they need to do, like I said, it's twofold, right? They need to start early. They need to start somewhere between 8th and 9th grade. 8th grade really to start with the studying habits, okay? Because there's a big transition from going to 8th grade to 9th grade. Just like when they were in 6th grade in one class, then they had a few classes in junior high, middle school, and now they're going to high school. Now, the difference is between that jump right there from middle school to high school is that the classes are going to be harder. There's going to be much more responsibility. So creating those study habits are important. 9th grade, in my opinion, is the most important grade. Now, everybody's going to argue with me. They're going to say 11th grade is the most important, which is true. It is the most important, but 9th grade is just equally there because that sets the base. And let me explain why. Because 3.75, if you have a 3.75 GPA average, and you're in the 11th grade, and now you're starting to search for schools, and you realize the school that you want to go to requires a 4.0, it's not happening. Okay? Wow. That percentage is going to be hard. You're going to have to take 5 AP classes and get all A's in there to jump that 0.25%, versus having a baseline in 9th grade and doing very well right out the gate. Yeah. It's easier to maintain than trying to struggle. All you've done is just dug a hole. Wow. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I forgot the question, some of it, but I think that's important. The second part is this. I'm sorry. The second part is funding. Okay, funding is extremely important. Like I said, it's two parts. A lot of times people and parents and students are just worried about getting in the school. Right? I just need to get accepted. This is where I want to go. And what parents don't realize is how expensive it is. A private school like USC, Occidental, NYU is $75,000 to $80,000 a year. That is the cost of attendance. Wow. So a lot of parents don't understand the vocabulary. They think, well, they're giving me a full ride because I'm getting the tuition paid. What they don't understand is that's part of the cost of attendance. So that's a big deal. $80,000 when you get a bill, or, oh, my daughter got accepted, and you find out they're not giving her anything, and it's $320,000 for 4 years. Right. And then there's another kid behind there and another one behind that. Yeah. So it becomes very stressful for the parents. They don't know what to do. They promise little Susie and little Tommy, hey, if you dream big, you do good grades, we're going to get you to that school. And then push comes to shove, we're sitting down, or they come to me at the last hour, and there's really nothing I can do. Right. But if we plan prior, if we plan in fifth grade, if you have a newborn, you should start saving now. Okay, that's so important to save right now because the dollars are cheaper. It's cheaper dollars. So if you're investing $100, $200 a month as a newborn versus when you come to me at the 11th hour and I tell you you're going to have to come up with $3,000 a month, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my partners that I work with at Prosperitas Financial, they're great because what they do, we work together. I show them how, and then the clients, the parents, as far as the funding side, and then my partners, what they do is they create and they design, and then what they're going to do from that point on is implement and then execute the plan from day one. So instead of just, and let me just tell you a story. I had a client in here the other day that said to me, I asked her, who's your financial advisor? And she said, well, so-and-so. And I said, well, what kind of plan do they have? You guys have college funding plan. She said, we don't have one. We're just putting money in there and we just watch it go up and down. And so it's not concrete, right? I asked her, how many times do they meet with you? We really actually don't meet. Yeah. All right. So it's important. So if anyone is listening out there, you need to find a financial planner that knows what they're doing, that understands college planning. My partners do that. So it comes and it works. Right. It's a plan. And what we're trying to do is make sure that parents don't jeopardize their assets. Right. They worked hard for $250,000, $500,000, $1 million. And so what parents do is they just write a check and they send it. On another note I want to touch on is financial aid. Middle income and higher income parents, they think financial aid is for poor people. It's for low income. Financial aid is a package. Okay. If you don't fill out that FAFSA application, you're not going to get the full package. Yep. So a lot of them, they don't understand that financial aid is a package. Yeah. They have to, they'll get grants, scholarship, merit aid. I've seen some parents make $500,000 to $1 million and they receive $20,000, $30,000 a year. Oh yeah. Because it's and the faster that parents understand that it's a business, although they're nonprofit, it's a business. The university is looking long-term. They're looking at you and your family as an investment, okay? So they know that if we give, they may throw some money at you. They may not throw some money at you. Yeah. But they know that 5 years from now, when little Susie graduates, or 10 years, and they're building a brand new building, and they call and they say, hey, we need $5,000 for a brick, you're going to write that check. Right. And so the faster that they understand it's a business, the faster they start early on the funding, the faster that they start in 9th grade, things work out really well. Our clients, on average, are getting 70 to 80% of the cost of attendance. Okay? That's how much they're getting. So it's a process. It's a journey. Wow. It just doesn't happen at the 11th hour. There's no way. I wish I can help every child, every family. Like I said, I'm very passionate about what I do. I wish I can help everybody, but in every client that I have, every testimonial that I get, they all say the same thing. Start in 9th grade or even earlier. Yeah. So
when are families coming to you? Like how old are the kids? What grade?
They're usually coming in at 11th grade, which is okay. And what we do is I have a bad habit of saying, I'm going to hire you. Right? They're hiring me, right? But or our firm, right? So I have a bad habit of that because I'm interviewing to see if the parent's going to do what I ask them to do, if the student is there. So the student can have a great resume, and then we just need to tweak it. Right. We need to do something. We need to make them special, right? We need to make them unique. Okay, going to the doctor at Henry Mayo or wherever, Kaiser, or going to the animal shelter, that doesn't differentiate you. I have clients coming in, they're in 11th grade, and they say, well, my student's a 4.5. So? Wow. Well, tell me a little bit more about 4.5. What else do they do? What's so special about it? They're special to you. They were in your belly. I get it. But what makes them really special? And here's a fact. So if parents want to look it up, Duke University has 2,000, anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 valedictorians apply all the time. They admit 4,000 every year, but it's 2,000, 15 to 2,000 that apply, and only 30 to 40% get in. Wow. So it's only like about 600 to 800 students, valedictorians. So, and then the rest of the population is everybody else.
Right.
Well, why is that? Well, because they weren't special. There was nothing that differentiated them aside from those other valedictorians. And the student that had a 3.75, the 4.0 that applied to Duke, had a plethora of great things that were unique to them. For instance, if you say that you're an outdoorsman person, right? And then your extracurricular activities don't correspond to that, then you're just filling space on the resume. If you decide that you want to be a dentist, but the extracurricular activities are not corresponding to that, like I did an internship here with this doctor, I did this, I did this research paper on biochemistry, I started this club and this is what we did. Right. That's what differentiates. I mean, there's a plethora of different things that you can do. Yeah. It's just, how do you do it?
But and you think those unique things that you're wanting to bring to the table, like you don't want it there just for the sake of adding to the resume. You think, or you're encouraging it to be very authentic to them, what they want to do, and really pursue something.
Yes, exactly. And what we value, one of our value in our value chain, is that we want the student to find one unique, serious interest. That's just one. And then pour the gas on it. Yeah. We do a lot of exploration. We unpack their schedule, right? We look at their schedule. We have them go through a whole series of scheduling, goal planning, right? At 9th and 10th grade, they're trying to figure out, what are we doing? I thought we were here for college planning, right?
Right.
Now that's what we're doing. We're setting up the plan, right? But we can't set up the plan if they can't walk, right? We can't run if they can't walk. So we're setting that up. And so we're unpacking their schedule. We want to make sure that they find an hour of day of free time where it's my time. Not mommy and daddy's time. Like, let's go to Ralph's. We're going to go pick up little Joey at the baseball field. We're going to do that. No. That's your time. And that time is protected. And so what we're having them do is really dive deep into their interests. And we have them dive in like 3 layers. So the goal is, once you get to the 3rd layer, put it aside and continue to keep moving forward. Because as you're moving forward and diving deeper, they're going to find another interest, which is okay. And we want them to write that down and get back to that later. But if you continue to find interest in this one subject or whatever it is, dive 3, go away, and then continue to keep moving on. Right. Then we find that one serious interest and we pour the gas on that interest. Yep. That's a big deal. Another big deal is essays. Essays are huge. Wow. Because they, in my opinion, it tells a story about you. Yep. Right? And if you can't tell a story about not only you and what you've done and what you're passionate about, they're just going to move on to the next person. So essay is extremely important, especially COVID-19, because there's a lot of things that the students can't do today. So the story is essential right now. The essay is big, and that's what is called a soft factor. There's hard factors, which would be your grades. Anything that's metric-wise is hard. Soft factors, extracurricular activities, stories, letters of recommendation, demonstrative interest, right? Are they calling the schools, right? Yep. Social media plays a big part of it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a great area to dive into.
Because if you can either leverage social media to your benefit, or it can be a detriment. Because what parents don't know is they think SAT, College Board, ACT, that they're running the show. Right. Okay. Yeah. What they don't know is there's other companies out there that are really running admissions, because they're all algorithms. When UCLA gets 110,000 applications and there's only 10 admissions officers, you think they're going through all of those? No way. They want to make sure they're getting the best of the best, so they have algorithms. There's student enrollment management. Parents don't understand what that is, what the yield is. They're looking for the particular student. Yeah. So all they got to do is just hit a button and 80,000 go away. Wow. And let me tell you, let's go back to big business. Right. Each application is $100. Do the numbers. 100,000, $100. Yeah. It's $10 million.
Adds up.
We just made $8 million because I just hit the query button and we're going to look at 20,000. Wow. So it's important to strategically position and market your student. So all those things are going to get you a lot of money. And then whatever that balance is, the net investment in your child's education is where my team comes in. My professional team from Prosperitas, they know what they're doing. Okay. So I would advise all parents to start early, whether they're newborn or whether they're ninth grade, but don't be disappointed if you're in 12th grade or in your 11th grade. Come on in. I'll take a look at everything. I'll tell you what you need to do. I had somebody here yesterday. They're 12th graders. She's a 12th grader. She's going to be going to either NYU or Pace or Hofstra, right?
Yeah.
Her parents literally fell off their seat when they were looking at it's $80,000.
Yeah.
She did get $20,000, which is good.
Right.
We probably, after showing her what we do, she's going to have her daughter in, her 10th grader, come on board.
Yep.
Because she sees the plan. She understands. So she understands that her daughter probably would have got another $30,000 if she had a college planner.
Wow.
And also, most important is making sure those assets that they acquired are not jeopardized, because you're going to have to pay.
Yep.
And that's a lot of money. $50,000 a year after the 22, that's still $200,000, and there's 2 other kids behind them.
Yeah. Interesting. Who do you think benefits more from the work that you're doing? The parents or the student?
Oh, the student by far. Oh, by far. Because what we do and what our counselors instill, and my counselors know, I love kids.
Right.
You know, they are our future. You know, when people talk about drugs and getting high and so forth, you know what my high is when that kid, the young adult, right, gets that offer from the school that they wanted to go to. And then the parents are happy because they got a lot of money. And that they didn't jeopardize their assets, which is important. So it's a little bit of both. Sometimes, though, I feel like I'm counseling the parents more than I'm counseling the children.
I can see that.
I mean, and that's why I interview, because I want to make sure, okay, you procrastinated thus far up to this point right now.
Right.
Are you going to continue to do that? Because we need to work together.
Yep.
So there's 2 different meetings. There's the meetings with the counselors. I'm involved with the kids. I'm trying not to be so much involved with the kids, but it's very difficult because I take a big interest in them. I want to make sure that we're planting seeds of greatness in them, because the more that we can give them the things that we've learned, right, then those seeds are going to grow as we're discovering and as we're exploring. They're just going to grow and they're going to be great. And it takes, it's a journey.
Yeah.
I always tell parents, don't make this an event. An event, your scatterbrain, your monkey mind goes on, right? You're just all over the place.
So true.
Versus a journey, right? Because there's going to be pitfalls. If you talk to my students, they'll tell you, yeah, he always encourages failure, which basically means go for it. You have nothing to lose. You're so young. And I want them to do what they want to do because I always tell them, don't worry about the money. Don't worry about money. Because they also see, believe me, those kids, when they're sitting at home, because behind closed doors, we don't know what's going on. But those kids hear everything those parents say. You may think they're not listening, but they're listening, and they're worried about money too. So when they see the school, it's $80,000, I tell them all the time, hey, it's not your problem. That's your parents' problem. They made their bed and they're sleeping in it. Now we're going to make your bed, but we're not going to allow anybody to make your bed. You're going to make your bed. You're going to make those choices. And so those kids, they understand that it's okay to fail because it's a stepping stone to success, but we're not trying to fail hard. It's calculated risk. Right. So all those things are important to me. The more that we can help those students, because they're the future. You know, I had a student one time tell me, for like years, I would tell her, hurry up. You know, I had her for 3 years from 10th grade, and she was a bio major. She wanted to find a cure for cancer, and we sent her to China, and she went to a great school. She went to Berkeley. Anyway, I used to tell her, hurry up. I think she got like 90%, 80%. I don't remember, but I used to tell her all the time, hurry up. And one time she asked me, why do you always tell me to hurry up? I said, because let me tell you, the world works in funny ways, and it comes back full circle. And I know you're going to make it. And if I'm on that operating table, I want to make sure it's you that's taking care of me. So that's how deep I get with them.
Yeah.
A lot of my students that I personally counsel, I have relationships with them. They're older. They'll tell me stuff like, man, I wanted to kill you in 9th grade, right? Because I put them through a lot of steps that they got to do. But at the end, they'll always say that, man, I love that guy. I still talk to them. They come in. So I've got good relationships with the students. It's important. They're our future.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're helping them through one of the most transitional points in their entire life. The one thing that you said earlier about sitting down with them, understanding their interests, and taking them through exercises to really make note of those, I think that's so critical because that's going to continue to change and shift. But how many kids, maybe not, 4-year university bound, come out of high school and they're like, God, I don't know. I'll probably just go to a junior college, figure it out as I go. And then 4 years later, they're still figuring it out as they go. And so I love that you take students through that process. I think that's critical.
It's important. And you know what? By starting early and creating those habits, it's going to go with them all the way through.
Yep.
It's going to, because they're creating it now, right? Creating good habits when you're younger, you're going to keep those habits as you move forward versus trying to be 50 and change.
Absolutely.
I know, a lot. I'm 50, over 50, so a lot of my friends are over 50.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are not willing to change. I'm continually trying to change. And the reason why I do that is because I'm trying to continually give the student the edge. And people ask me all the time, well, why do you dive so deep with them? I go, because nobody helped me. And because nobody helped me, and it took so long to get not to figure out my passion and what I love.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they do it right away.
Yep.
And never look back. And you know what? And it's okay to fall out of love of what you're doing. I let them understand that. And usually if they do that, it's usually a branch off of something else, right? Like law, it's so broad, right? Biology, it's so broad. So they may go from one area to another area. But they're not going to go from being a musician to an engineer or vice versa. They're going to stay within the realm of what they've studied, what their career is, what they love, but maybe they just got bored. So there is a trend, upward trend. If they continue to do what they're supposed to do at a young age, psychologists will tell you those habits will go with them all the way.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you one thing I forgot to mention is I'm actually going to be writing a white paper on the cost of college. And this goes to all the young families out there. I'm predicting that USC, UCLA, NYU, Columbia, these schools, the cost of college for a 4-year degree is going to be about $500,000. If it's $320 now, and people need to understand since 1970, the cost of college has gone up like 600%. In the last 20 years, it's gone up about 150 to 250%. So if you just extrapolate those numbers, that's what we're looking at.
Right.
So I'm writing that paper to see if those numbers can actually be true, and talking to admissions officers, financial aid officers, right?
Wow.
Because that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And it's a big business. People always ask, do you think college costs are going to go down? I said, never. Because we as Americans value education. And as long as we value education, the government's going to be there because they value education to fund the education.
Absolutely. Where can our listeners find that white paper once it's available?
Well, they can email us. They can email at info@collegeassurity.com. That's ASSURITY.com. We'll put them on the white paper list.
Yep.
And as soon as we get it, we'll go ahead and send it to them. It'll be a few months. I have so many projects I'm working on right now that it's going to take me a while to get that taken care of. But I know that's where we're going. Yeah. I'm positive where we're going. And going back with the young people, we can extrapolate. That's why they need to start now. If they have a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, there's got to be a clear, concrete plan.
Yep.
That's just for them. And here's the deal. Here's a great news for all the parents that are listening out there. Here's a great news here. When you create a plan like that and the money's not used, guess what? It goes right back into your retirement. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty. That's the goal. That's the goal of every student or every family, is to create that plan, make sure we follow it through. We meet with our clients at least once a year, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, just depends on how many assets they have and so forth. Mm-hmm. But it's been a great ride. I love what I do. I can't get enough of it. I can work all day and never stop.
That is evident, Rudy. You've shared some extremely insightful things. Where can our listeners find you?
They can find me at www.collegeassurity.com.
Cool.
They can find me there. They can also call us. The number's there. Yep. They can email us. If they ever need anything, they need a consultation. If there's a free consultation that we do, okay? It's free, absolutely free. It's 1 hour. There's a questionnaire that we send to the parents. They bring it with them. That way we're cutting through the chase. I don't have to analyze anything because I've already done it. Yep. And we go to town and we really hit it hard and figure out what we can do for them, see if it's a right fit. Because we want to make sure it's a right fit as well on Yep. both ends, okay? And then what we'll do is, with no cost, no obligation, we'll go ahead and put a blueprint together for them and say, well, here's a roadmap to success. Okay.
Right.
And if they think they could do it all on their own, more power to them. I want them to do it.
Right.
But if they think they need some help and some guidance, then we're the firm to do that with.
Yep. Absolutely. I love that. Rudy, thank you so much for everything you shared today. It's extremely evident you care about what you do. You're passionate about what you do, and really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Next Financial Group, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Prosperitas Financial is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group, Inc. This material is not intended as an offer or solicitation for the purchase of sale of any security or other financial instrument. Past performance does not guarantee future performance. All the views expressed are those of Robert Clark and Prosperitas Financial, and not of those of Next Financial Group, Inc. Next does not offer tax or legal advice. The S&P 500 is a market cap weighted index composed of common stocks of 500 leading companies in the leading industries of the U.S. economy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is a price weighted index of 30 actively traded blue chip stocks.